Alright you lot, don't forget to give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and while you're at it, give us a 5-star rating. Trust me, it really does help us out.
Good afternoon, evening, night, morning, dusk or dawn, wherever you happen to be in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Last Lap podcast. We are here in the off-season now officially, here on YouTube, here on Spotify, here on all good streaming platforms to discuss
all the best ones,
all the news that's been going on in the week so far.
There's been a lot, isn't there, mate?
Yeah, there has been a lot going on actually this week. There's been weirdly, yeah. I thought everything would calm down given the season's just finished.
I thought everyone we've just had a 22 race season, sick of it. Like everyone, little nuggets are being dropped.
Yeah,
little sources of information, which I think we should talk about.
Thought everyone would just have a sit down in their living room, just chill out.
Yeah.
You know, slap some YouTube on.
Watch the World Cup.
Watch the World Cup. Yeah, exactly. Or watch us on YouTube. Feel free to, like and subscribe if you are watching the pod here on YouTube. And if you're watching on streaming platforms, then feel free to give us a solid rating. A solid rating.
At least, come on.
Give us a 4.5 stars.
Can you do that?
Don't know if you can even do that, to be honest with you, lad. But
at least a 4.9.
At least a 4.9, ladies and gentlemen. 5. At least.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Should we start then with, the news of the moment, and it's kind of carried on a little bit, and we're still a bit unsure of what's going on, is Mattia Binotto.
It is indeed.
Departing from Ferrari.
Yep.
Of mutual consent, seemingly, he's handed his giving his notice in, giving his P45.
Do you know what that actually means, though? That means Ferrari came to him and went, lad, we're going to sack you. However, if you agree to it as well, it'll make you look better in the news.
Yeah, there's the jump before push.
Yes,
It screams that to
it does.
me.
It really does.
And what's funny as well, in the Autosport Awards were last night, and Christian Horner was asked, what did you make of Mattia Binotto? Like, are you surprised that he got sacked? And he was like,
question.
Not really.
Mad.
Which you think, like, as a fellow team principal, that's cold, man.
Yeah, that is, yeah. That's basically, I could do a better job than him. I'm not surprised that he went.
Well, funny you say. So could he? Because look, there's been a lot of names obviously knocking about in terms of potential replacements for the most high-profile team principal job in Formula One, given the stature of Ferrari, given the expectation and the pressure. A lot of names have been linked, which we'll kind of go through a lot of these, but Christian Horner being one of them.
Yeah,
and he was like, I'm loyal to Red Bull. Drivers have gone.
He's not getting free energy drinks at Ferrari. That's all I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he might get a nice car. What's he get? At Red Bull, he's getting that little Mini with the Red Bull.
Yeah, with the Red Bull cap that they drive around every now and again.
If he goes Ferrari, he'll get like an F8 or something.
Yeah, that's
decent.
That's Christian. If you're listening, mate, I think you know what to do, son.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon Christian is the right kind of person for that job? Not that he's going to necessarily. I can't see it happening.
First of all, I would be like honestly so surprised if it happened.
I can't even picture that.
I can't even picture him just wearing red at all.
We're gonna get production to knock up a thumbnail with Christian Horner in Red Bull.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if their Photoshop doesn't crash.
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound right. But I would love to see it.
The PC would see what's going on and would just be like, "Nah, I'm blue screening. I can't hack this anymore. I'm afraid." I think even I can't even imagine him wearing like a red t-shirt. Just not even branded with Ferrari. I just can't imagine him doing that. Do you know what I mean? So
his whole wardrobe is just on the blue color palette scale, from like green to blue,
to like blue, like a bit of turquoise in the middle.
Starts to get a bit too like it's a bit maroon. Jerry's like, no, Christian, no, come on,
mate, burn that one. I'm afraid. Chuck that out the window. Yeah, no, I can't imagine it obviously, but if it was to happen, I think the thing with Christian Horner is like the marriage between him and Red Bull is so good because Red Bull is obviously based on being so extreme, right? It's all to do with extreme sports. It's all about living on the edge and pushing the boundaries of like just sports and also rules and like, that sort of like, that's the brand of them. Christian Horner fits that so perfectly.
Yeah.
Because he's just such a maverick in like what he says and how he conducts himself.
Yeah.
And even in just saying that, like even being asked about Binotto and him being like, yeah, can't lie, I'm not surprised. Like that's just like it's not professional at all. It's just that it's like edgy. Do you know what I mean?
It's not like a media trained expectation of a response. But he does work. Because that's the thing, he's been at that Red Bull team since the very beginning, since they took over Jag.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, they are, like you say, right, Red Bull's, extreme sports, they go against the grain. Ferrari is like from a brand point of view, it's like the polar opposite. Like,
Yeah,
you have to get on
literally,
a waiting list to get a Ferrari. You have to be like approved to drive a Ferrari.
Do you have to be approved to drive a Ferrari?
You can't just rock up with like the bag and just be like, right, I'll have a Ferrari, please. You can't do that. You can do that with like a McLaren or Lamborghini or whatever, but you can't do that for Ferrari.
What's the approval process?
I don't
what
know.
questions do they ask?
Well,
you?
no, because
we need to do that at some point on the show. We need to go through and like see if we can get approved a Ferrari.
oh my god, do you reckon we've got the budget for that, producer? Yeah, I reckon we've got.
I can contribute 57 quid from my bank account.
That's just about enough for a Roma, I reckon. No, because what is it? Deadmau5 years ago.
Yeah.
He got like he bought a Ferrari, but then he wrapped it in like Nyancat wrap.
Oh my!
And Ferrari went mad.
Yeah.
They were like, you got
To be fair, I hear that.
They like sent a cease and desist to him. It's his car, man. It's his own car. They were like,
you
no.
can't be wrapping it like that. That's crazy.
It looks sick.
I also hear it.
It looks sick. Well, so that's but fundamentally, as we digress.
Yeah.
They're very different brands. That's why I couldn't picture it. But you've got to feel like Christian said it. Like he's gone up against 6 different Ferrari team principals now.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Like surely there's a lot to be said of Christian's consistency at Red Bull, and maybe Ferrari need a bit. Like, do you think this has been harsh on Binotto? Do you think it would have come good? Because I'm still on the fence.
Yeah. It in the same way that like when you said it like screams of like push or or jump or whatever. It also screams of like bit of a scapegoat.
Yeah.
In a sense of like, I know that at the end of the day, as the team principal, it is your responsibility. Like the results come down to, it's like the same as a football manager. Like not the same.
The buck
you know what I mean?
with you, yeah.
Yeah, it drops with you. If the team's not performing, the manager gets sacked. You don't get rid of all the players. Do you know what I'm saying? In the same way, in a
Well, because
F1
just
team.
for anyone who doesn't understand, like what's the job of a team principal?
Well, I guess the team principal like overlooks everything, kind of decides strategy, not like actual race strategy, but like actual team,
strategic direction of the team.
strategic direction of the team.
They make sure the right people are in the right position to make the right decision.
And what I will say is, what you can look at Ferrari and you can pretty much conclude that the right people are not in the right positions, or the wrong people are in said positions. Do you know what I mean? Like, and ultimately that is a job that comes down to him. How long has he been at Ferrari, or how long had he been at Ferrari?
Well, he'd been at Ferrari for 20, I think it was 28 or 25 years.
Yeah.
So he'd been there in some capacity, like graduated straight into Ferrari. Like was, in the Schumacher domination eras, he was part of the engine team.
Yeah.
So like he understands Ferrari through and through.
Yeah.
There was always the question of, he's a technical man, and technically they produced a very good car this year. You can't really doubt that side of things.
Yeah.
Which makes me, because the notion I was always parroting is like, he should step back to a more technically focused role.
Yeah.
But, and a few people pointing this out, and it's a good point, is that, that to expect Mattia Binotto to step down, basically, that's a lot to ask of a person.
Yeah.
To step down and go into a lower position,
role.
and then have someone else come in and do the job that you weren't. Because
it's even worse than being sacked. Like
the official line is that Mattia Binotto's handed his notice in and left, but it seems that he didn't feel trusted by the people above him.
Yeah.
And that obviously Charles' trust is understandably been waned, and maybe there's been murmurings from his side of the camp, in the same way that I suppose if things weren't going the way Verstappen wanted, because he is good enough to command that position as the present and the future of that team. I think Charles is kind of the same. They want Charles to be the next Schumacher.
Yeah. They want him to be there for 10, 15 years, like winning championships and stuff, realistically. And if he doesn't trust the leadership of
which is understandable.
Team,
I'm not being
funny
funny.
out. Yeah,
mate. If I'm Charles Leclerc, like I'm flipping tables, being like, shit needs to change it.
Yeah,
because this is not good enough.
We've got to switch this up, otherwise I'm leaving in 2 years.
We had a dedicated like Ferrari fuck up of the year
award
in our awards.
Yeah.
And there was still plenty we didn't even mention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The shortlist was could have been about 10
mate
long for that award.
So who's getting the job then? Because if they're gonna let Binotto go, right? Because it's a degree, whether it's he left or they pushed him or they just let him leave. Who comes in now?
We all know what should happen, and that's that they maybe go outside of the Ferrari family potentially. we all know what is going to happen, and that's that they're going to hire like the rear jackman or something from inside, but he's Italian, so it's calm, and he's got like a name that rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, nice.
And he's like,
I like that.
It was a good, strong Italian name.
I like that.
They've already had a Stefano, haven't they?
Yeah.
Carly.
That's the thing. 'Cause they're not at the World Cup this year either, so they've got time to...
Gianfranco. That's good.
Bring back Zola.
Yeah.
Throwback.
Get him involved, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, the thing is, so the names that are being... Obviously, Fred Vasseur has been spoken about a lot.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo, good relationship with Charles, which is clearly an important thing going forwards.
Yeah.
Given he first year was at Alfa Romeo, did really well there. He founded ART as well.
Yeah.
Who was Charles' team in junior categories. I'm surprised that Franz Tost isn't being spoken about a bit more as well.
Yeah.
Because Franz has been about for time. You've got to think, if Franz wants, like, that AlphaTauri team, unless he gets bought out by someone, in which case, say Porsche bought out, for example, they're probably bring in their own people. I think if there was an opportunity for Franz, he lives like 45 minutes from Maranello. Franz is 45 minutes from Maranello anyway. He's been there for time. I'm surprised he's not being spoken about a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's who else? So there's a few kind of, in terms of like internal candidates, you've got Lauren Mekis, who's was like race, not strategy, race director.
Okay, I was going to say, if he's strategy, please, not him.
Because he used to be at the FIA. It's very like, everyone gets about an F1, goes from team to that FIA. But I don't know, I feel like Vasseur has to jump at this opportunity if there is one.
I think out of all of those, I think Franz Tost would make sense, realistically.
Franz Tost would also make sense, but I think
probably going to end up being Freddie Vasseur.
Because I also think that we know that Audi are going to take over that team by 2026, and I think they'll want their own people.
Yeah.
And I think if he doesn't take this opportunity and stays, I don't necessarily think I think that the opportunity to go to Ferrari, we've seen it with drivers. We saw it with Seb, we saw it with Carlos.
You have to jump at that. And like, you can't be loyal to a brand that might not be there and isn't going to be there in 3 years.
Yeah.
Because if he stays around, it's because he loves Sauber or whatever, but like, it's not going to be Sauber by 2026. So,
well, if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, let us know who should be the new team principal.
Because I think there's a lot of potential names out there, but I think it remains to be seen.
Give it Charles Leclerc. Let him be a driver team principal. That'd be amazing. You know how you have like player managers.
Maybe. The thing is, on a race day,
he can dictate his own strategy.
Listen, you have Sky Sports like Crofty having a waffle with like Andreas Seidel or Christian or whatever. They've obviously got time.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's that on a race day. They're just there as like they're not really doing that much on a race day.
They're overseeing.
Yeah,
things,
exactly.
They're talking to people.
Charles can oversee it from the cockpit.
Christian Horner's always talking to Crofty on Sky.
Yeah, exactly.
Got him on speed dial.
Loves it. Well, they're either not talking to Sky Sports or they're...
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, that's true. Actually.
It's one extreme.
Yeah, ain't on the pit wall anymore.
All right, so I think we've covered Binotto.
Yeah.
Should we talk about another interesting bit of news that's come out? And it's not this is all talk. This is Ross Brawn, who is now left or leaving. He's actually left Formula 1. After
Ferrari. Dun, dun, dun.
I mean,
could you imagine?
It was announced on the same day that he was leaving.
Conspiracy, mate.
Bring the old squad back together.
Bring back Brawn.
Yeah,
BBB.
We'll see. But there's been talk of obviously moving forward with the racing. Because first of all, what did you think of the racing this year, raceability-wise, cars? 2022.
I think it was definitely better. I think it was definitely improved from last year. I think I remember seeing a stat that like came out just after Abu Dhabi that it was either 20% or 30% increase in overtakes. Someone's gonna have to quote me on that one, but it was one of the two. We'll say 25 because it's in the middle.
That's it, yeah.
Think about it. Which is obviously like, I think in terms of like what the racing looked like, I think it passed the eye test in terms of like people being able to follow a little bit better.
Yep.
But it's nice to have that like statistical backup of there were actually more overtakes as well. Obviously, I know in terms of as a season, it wasn't as good. We didn't have a great title race and all that sort of jazz. But that's not to do with the cars necessarily. That's just to do with like how it all shook out at the end.
Yeah,
because we still had a 2-car title race, which we've not had for a lot of the time during the the hybrid era.
It's the first season of the new regs as well.
First season of the new regs. Mercedes
Typically,
brought themselves back into play towards the end. We might have a 3-car title race in terms of constructors next season, which we've not had since fuck knows when, like 2012, 11, 10 times.
mate, even I remember like qualifying in Brazil. Like, obviously, yes, you had K-Mag, but like that whole like weekend before qualifying, like Lando was up there in quali, in the McLaren, like Fernando was like knocking on the door in the Alpine. But so the reason I say this is there's talk around which DRS is active aerodynamics.
Yeah.
But there's Ross Brawn's been quoted saying about
deactive.
Yeah. Was it reverse DRS?
Reverse DRS.
So explain, what does that kind of mean?
Well, I'm going to explain what I'm picturing.
Yeah, let's explain the Niran perspective.
So the Niran perspective, the way that I'm picturing that, which is obviously not going to happen, but it's just the way... Obviously, DRS works in a way that it opens the rear wing, right? So reverse DRS, basically, we end up with a system where the rear wing just goes down back into the car. You just don't have a rear wing. That's how reverse DRS
Wait, but then you'd
works.
have less drag.
Oh no, true actually, yeah, because the rear wing's not
it
even
needs
there
to
at all.
extend out.
Yeah, it'll extend out. It changes shape into like a ball.
Yeah.
At the top.
Or no, remember in the 90s they had little mini rear wings on the little T wings. They just pop out to just create
just on
more drag.
everything.
Yeah. Or the driver just has to put their hand up and like the more increased air resistance.
You get more wings on like each part of the car, depending on how far ahead you are.
But basically, like Ross is talking about potentially changing things with the regulations to stop the top teams and the top cars like driving away.
Now, would that be on a race-to-race basis, as in if a car's like, say, 15, 20 seconds ahead in the Grand Prix, reverse DRS comes into play? Like, that's... Like, because obviously we have like the detection points where if you're a second behind, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you reach a certain threshold in the race and then that happens?
That's the thing. Nothing's bit like he's just
throwing it
He's
out.
just chucking stuff out there.
Yeah.
Cheers, Ross. We appreciate it because now we can talk about it. But the thing is, like, I think there's definitely a potential like solution. I think that incorporates more active aero because they've talked about active aero to like. Decrease drag, so the cars are a bit more efficient. Which that's fine. Like I'm all for technology having a play, and DRS is active aero that we've become accustomed to and used to. I haven't got a problem with that as long as it's equal across. Where I start to have an issue is where they disproportionately, like if you're leading, you get hit more. I don't like that.
Yeah, because it's not really the same as like, because obviously you've got the wind tunnel stuff at the moment where like, whereby if you finish further down the order, you get more wind tunnel time in comparison to someone. But that's more to just bring teams into play and make it more attractive for like, maybe newer teams or teams that are down towards the back to actually stick around.
And that's not sporting in the same way.
It's not sporting as well. Like if you're leading a Grand Prix and you're just having a sick race and you're 20 seconds clear, you shouldn't then get punished for that, in my opinion.
It's like rubber banding in like Need for Speed.
Yeah.
Remember like Need for Speed? Where like, if you'd get well far ahead, then the car behind would end up going like 400 mile an hour and catch you up.
Yeah. Because if you weren't looking at them, they're just like, they just arrived there. It's like, what was doing well, mate? Like,
that's basically what like, which I get that there's we want to move towards as close a racing as possible, but also we want to preserve what makes F1 F1, which is the uniqueness of each team. You've got like an underdog story like K-Mag getting on pole wouldn't happen if you've got this rubber band in like everyone's
if you're
exactly
like
the same.
Forcing it together.
Then
not
again,
sport, you do have ballast in like other categories of motorsport, which is like if you say won a race on a Saturday or the first race of the day, boom, you get ballast for the second race of the day, which obviously is
they do in like. And look, I was all for ballast as a punishment. For like Red Bull overspending, for example. Like, for me, like that as a punishment, fine. But as I don't know, I think there's a fine line between interfering too much and preserving good quality racing. Because look, I'm confident. I think 2023 is going to be sick. I think it's going to be really good. I think you've got Mercedes that seemingly have caught up somewhat. McLaren, Alpine potentially knocking on the door. Aston Martin. I think by 2026 we won't need something like this. This is the way that I feel about it.
That's if the regs work properly. That's how it should be. We shouldn't really need extra stuff that really like compacts the racing together, because you should already have 10 teams or hopefully more that have already kind of like done the accordion effect towards each other based on the wind tunnel time, based on the budget cap, and because
that's the problem. It's like the balance in the entertainment. What makes sport entertaining inherently isn't just the fact that you've got really exciting ends to the race. It's the whole story, the whole build up to it.
Yeah.
And I just think with stuff like that, there would be even more caveat for people to just be like, oh, well, yeah, they only caught because they got the, It's like let the teams flex their muscles and like do their thing.
And let the drivers as well. If a driver's having a good race, again, you shouldn't be getting like slapped halfway through the race with, sorry, mate, you've got 6 rear wings now.
Yeah. I don't, that's too much, man.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Okay, like 5. We'll go with 5.
But again, I think that we should be open to like the tech side of things, but I just think it shouldn't like disproportionately hit some teams more than others. But maybe we're wrong.
Yeah. Let us know again what you think about that. Whether reverse DRS would be useful in Formula 1.
We'll see.
Reverse curves. We'll just reverse everything. Reverse ERS. Boom.
Reverse like jet turbines on the cars. Well, talking of spec, because I think that makes F1 a bit too much into a spec series, as far as I'm concerned. But spec series IndyCar.
Yeah, man.
Well, we've got to talk about Alex Palou, because he's recently been announced as reserve at McLaren.
Or McLaren, yeah, indeed.
All change.
Lots of dons who could do the job for McLaren as reserves, because Zach Brown is just collecting them like Infinity
That's
Stones
what he is.
He's going crazy.
Like shiny Pokemon cards.
Yeah, man, it's mad. We had the Piastri versus Palou versus
Award.
Award. Yeah. Yeah, I love Alex Palou. Again, I find his story so interesting because he was kind of like just bopping about in like GP3 and F3 and stuff. Went over to America and then he's just gone and won IndyCar.
We had a breakout year, didn't he, in his second year, and then that's the thing. So he's Spanish, started in Europe, raced amongst a lot of the kind of current F1 crop in junior formulas. And didn't really set the world alight. Decided to go to the US, which I think is really nice that he kind of has taken that route.
Yeah, and now it's carved that route out for a lot of other, because you've got like Christian Lundgaard and stuff going over there. Callum Ilott as well. Like people, I think, have seen IndyCar now as kind of like that's actually a legitimate step in my career. Like if for whatever reason F3 or F2 aren't really like providing me what I need, or I'm not at a team that's competitive, I can go over to Indy Lights or whatever and then actually make a career in IndyCar as well. Even if you're just like from Spain. I think Denmark or whatever, you don't need to be like...
Jamie Chadwick's gone to Indy Lights,
yes.
next year as well. So
yeah.
It's interesting that. But what do we think of... Because obviously big pressure on Piastri for next year. A degree of pressure on Lando to keep doing what he's doing, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
Which I see no reason why he shouldn't, because he seems very... as comfortable as he can be with that at times, kind of. But do we think that Palou's got a shot? Like, it's very hard to look at Piastri because there wasn't that immediate jump into Formula One like we saw with George, where he went straight in, Charles went straight in. I do wonder if that year out might maybe like hinder his opportunity, and maybe that's where, because Palou did he did FP1 for McLaren in Austin and did a sick job. Like Giovinazzi's banging it into the wall.
Yeah.
Palou's ripping.
I'm kind of surprised Piastri didn't do like any kind of racing. Last year, to be honest, because I know obviously,
McLaren have been doing a lot of testing with him with the old car.
They have, that's good. But obviously, like when Red Bull have this sort of situation where they know they can't get someone in straight away, but they're going to be able to get in the next year. So like Pierre Gasly go off and do like Super Formula.
Yep.
And it's like, you're just at least keeping someone in the seat, keeping the seat warm, quite literally. So that they have like a bit of momentum to carry into Formula One. I think Piastri is like a generational, like, I know it gets thrown around a lot, but I think he's a very good driver. I think Lando will probably beat him, because Lando's just been like best of the rest so comfortably for the last 2 seasons now. But I do worry that maybe it'll just like take the edge of sharpness off a little bit, just at the start anyway. Yeah,
I think McLaren are in a strong position though. They've obviously seen enough in Palou to be like, cool, like, we'll get you in as a reserve.
I mean, it's a good lineup, innit? I mean, you've got Lando and Piastri. That's a lineup that, in theory, they could keep hold of for a while.
Yes,
and if it doesn't work out, they've then got 2 other relatively young drivers as well who have done like IndyCar stuff that they could like kind of just bring in if they needed to, like Palou and Award.
What? Because
You're living. Like, I think they're all below the age of like 25.
Yeah, they're all
right?
yeah. That's the thing.
Nuts.
They're all still so young. I think IndyCar does a better job at preparing you as a racing driver for F1 than anything. I get the merit of being in F2 and, you know, being amongst that F1 circus.
And the calendar as well. I think you obviously...
the tracks you're racing on are the same as F1 tracks. I get that, but the IndyCar field is just stacked with talent. Will Power, Scott McLaughlin, like Joseph Newgarden. Like, these are drivers who like know what they're doing, and you've got you racing in ovals, you're racing mad street tracks, like like Sebring where it's like
you're bumping up and down all over the place.
It's mad. Like, these F1 drivers moan about porpoising.
Well,
try IndyCar around Sebring. No, thank you.
They're driving over like fucking manhole covers and all sorts of shit over there. It's crazy.
That's why I think McLaren, like you say, I think McLaren are in a good. They're kind of the opposite of Haas. Haas have gone like old, experienced lineup.
Well, I guess it's based on what you need, isn't it? You know, McLaren are kind of like on the rise. There's a potential to arrive at like winning stuff soon, based on, you know, budget capital, that sort of jazz. You know, they're kind of next in line, if you like, along with Alpine. Whereas Haas kind of just need to stabilize shit. They need to just stop getting into accidents and stuff. So just having a experienced lineup.
Do you think McLaren will do it? Do you think they'll break into the?
I don't know about next season. I think next season might be a little bit too soon. I think
Lando got one podium this year.
Yeah. I think you might see more podiums. I would love to imagine that they're competitive in a sense where you, like, a couple of race weekends in a season, you're actually seeing them, like, on merit in the top, like, 4 or 5. That's got to be the aim, really. But I don't think consistently. I don't think you'll see them, like, challenging for wins, like, all the time.
Yeah, I'm really interested in, like, how this sliding scale with aero kind of changes things.
I'm just interested to see whether, like, what the jump can be from, like, mid-table, like, mid-teams to, like, sort of into that title battle. Like, how long does it take?
Yeah. But also talking of, like, the sliding scale, but also the money, because I know, like, between each position is about 12, 13 million. It might be dollars, I'm not sure. Sometimes they're doing dollars. But Williams just got 26 mil.
Fair play.
Of Rocket, their old sponsor. You know, the horrible, ugly Rocket sponsorship on that car?
I do indeed,
in 2019.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was absolutely dead livery.
like toothpaste.
And basically, it's been going through the courts for like a couple of years now, I think, since they dipped. Yeah. And 26 mil pounds as well. Oof. Great British sterling.
You ain't ever going to see Rocket on a car ever again.
No.
26 mil.
That's a lot of money.
They're done. Didn't they sponsor W Series as well?
Yeah, they do a lot of motorsport sponsorship, Rocket.
Well, they ain't anymore. They don't have the funds for that.
Yeah, you got to wonder, don't you? But
that's the bank account dry.
You know what? Like for Williams,
26 mil, mate.
26 million they didn't have before.
Yeah. Who needs Lavazza, mate? Who needs Latifi?
That's why they were like, we're sure this will come through.
Yeah. Like,
and if it hadn't gone through, they'd be like, Nicholas, can you come back, please?
Do you mind, mate?
Sorry, Logan. But
yeah,
I think that puts Williams in a stronger position for next year as well.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about them? Just generally next season. Like, where do you think they finish?
Mate, in my preseason predictions, I put Albon 11th and Latifi like 14th because I just thought they were going to be good.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Looking back, but you know what? I had a bit of faith in Williams as well. Good regs changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Fundamentally, it didn't make sense for them to still, no offense, be bad. Because
they still are.
There was everyone was changing. The whole field would kind of move around a little bit. So obviously they were at the back originally, but they were getting there. At the end of 2021, sorry, they were obviously you had George getting fucking second in Spa, obviously a bit crazy circumstances, but there was movement towards actual midfield. So it's oh yeah, cool, they're gonna make it. Back down again.
That's what I mean. I just. You want to see a name like Williams,
with
that history and heritage and at the top. But
but what I will say about Williams, right, just on this brief tangent, is before they become good again, before they become even average, please get a good livery. All right, because
I beg,
fucking hell, lads, we can't be doing this. Williams need iconic liveries.
Yeah, man.
I'm not seeing Duracell on the car and that's it. It looks like it's powered by a 9-volt battery. This is ridiculous. And then the rest of the car's just default blue. That's it. What is this?
And they got no paint on it. They basically took the livery off.
Yeah, I think they knew. They knew it was bad. They were like,
Oh, yeah, we're just saving weight. No, it's just a dead livery.
please, lads, yeah, before you become good, just lock down some kind of sponsor or just make it look a bit iconic again.
That would be nice.
That would be good.
That'd
Cheers,
be
lads.
amazing. We'll see. But also, talking of teams that have been a bit mid, but actually come on in good. And we're going to hear a bit more about this because do you know that Guenther Steiner is releasing a book talking all about the 2022 F1 season?
To read this, I cannot wait.
Yeah, Guenther Steiner's releasing a book. Mate.
What's it called? Do you know?
It's called Survive. Nah, you know what? I read this, right? And I thought it was a wind-up, but I checked it. It's true. It's called Surviving to Drive. This man is on a wind-up. Like, he's got... him and Ricciardo have got all the, like, Drive to Survive, like, segments, right? And now he's like... I'm going to call it Surviving to Drive.
Surviving to Drive. If I was Netflix, I'd sue him.
If you could write a book about the 2022 F1 season, what would be your highlights?
What would be my highlights?
Because for me, the cover would be Fernando Alonso wagging his finger at Tsunoda. Because I'm still disappointed we didn't put that in like moment of the year.
Yeah.
In our awards.
Mine would be
because these are going to be stories from like in the paddock that are just like there's going to be some madness going on.
Mine would be,
because he shares a lot.
Mine would be, I've just realised it would be a picture of Latifi going the wrong way in Japan, and it would be called Two Directions.
Or you play it back.
Yeah, man. Run it back. Yeah, no. Honestly,
I want to hear the audiobook version.
I have to hear that.
And he has to voice it.
Yeah, I hope it's him reading it. It has to be.
Surely.
It has to be. That's such a missed opportunity if he's not reading it.
The only way it'd be better if he didn't voice it would be if, like, I'm just thinking maybe like Christian Horner voiced it.
Could you imagine?
I could.
Hey guys, I'm filling in here for Guenther, another team principal.
That would be
read this one out.
And he has to do the like Guenther impressions whenever he's like monologuing. But obviously, yeah, you've got we saw a lot of it in Drive to Survive, how the whole kind of 21 season kind of fell off towards the end. And obviously we've got all the drama around like obviously Uralkali sponsorship pulling back and all that. So
yeah, there is a lot to discuss there. I mean, in terms of like that book is going to be box office.
Yeah. If
we're going to be honest, like, because you've got like Rich Energy Times.
Yeah.
Of Haas, you've got Uralkali,
I hope he reflects on all that.
Nikita Mazepin and the controversies around him, and then obviously signing him and whether that was the right move, whatever. Mick Schumacher stuff from this year, all the crashing, K-Mag. That might not have made it. That might have been too late to make it into the book. But
I reckon he launches the book to coincide with him being announced as Ferrari team principal.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Yeah.
I actually could as well, yeah.
Like, Guenther Steiner, Ferrari team principal, would be jokes.
Be chaos.
I'm not saying it'd be
because he would call out all the shit. Like,
he's like
people would make crazy decisions. And he'd be like, "No, I'm sacking them tomorrow." Like, in the media.
That's the thing. Like, Haas have got that relationship with Ferrari. Like, we joke, but he's been about. The thing is, like, he was at Red Bull before.
I was going to say he's been about for time. Didn't he? Was he like team? Didn't he do like a lot of like Jaguar or something?
Yeah, he was at Jaguar, and then he stayed there for quite a few years at Red Bull. During their like success, and then I can't remember when he took over at Haas, but I guess no, it was when the team started.
Yeah, he just kind of
so like 2015 or wherever it was. Guenther Steiner at Ferrari. Do you reckon that works? I don't think it works.
I think it just breaks down within a year. But pure, not because of him, just because he is the type of person that will like say it how it is.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that will run it. Honestly, Ferrari is the most like shielding sort of like.
Yeah.
Everyone stay happy, closed shop, just sort of. No one talks about anything. Everyone just shuts themselves away.
What
sort of?
I want to see now that Binotto's leaving. I want to see a Binotto book.
I want to see a Binotto book otherwise as well.
Who else? Who else would you want to see? I'm just trying to think who else would be.
Does it have to be team principal?
No, it could be anyone. No, I'm just trying to think who would be Piastri.
Oh yeah,
Piastri book.
Piastri's book when that comes out in 10 years is going to be crazy.
when he's retired.
Yeah, when he's retired, that's going to be nuts. Honestly, I know. Does Fernando Alonso have a book yet?
He's got a museum.
Yeah.
He must have his own book. If he's got a museum.
I need a second book from Fernando Alonso then.
Yeah.
Because The last 5 years have been crazy.
Yeah, just talking about the last 5 years.
Just from McLaren to now, I need a book about that if he hasn't already, and I need it to be called GP2 Engine.
That I can't get like Piastri book. Like he should have done like a video log from like Alpine jail. It's like they won't let me out the sim.
I'm in the cells. I'm in the sims.
Yeah, Otmar just slips a can of Pepsi through the rails.
Yeah.
That's all you're getting. Traitor.
That's your dinner for tonight. Eat
Bruv,
a can, mate.
They're so salty, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Laurent Rossi and Otmar can't help themselves but talk about Oscar. Like,
Well, there was a quote, wasn't there, like 2 weeks ago?
They were
where
like,
it was
oh, yeah,
I
actually,
think our
we got
lineup's stronger
stronger
now, and it's like, no. All right. He doesn't love you. Just get over it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just...
You are now the bitter ex.
Yeah, they are. They literally are. The Alpine are the bitter X. It's hilarious.
That's kind of...
They have done well to get Gasly, to be fair. But, like, I mean...
Yeah, like,
Dunno.
I've got a lot of... I think Otmar's a great team principal, but also I don't like the salt. I think it's been unnecessary, and I hope Piastri does well for next year.
Yeah, I hope he does as well.
With 24 races next year, although one of them is not
minus
confirmed.
one. Yeah, the Chinese Grand Prix has once again been cancelled. We were going to go back for the first time since 2019. We've been a return to, I think, quite an underrated
Good track.
to be honest with you. I quite like China. I hate driving it on the game. Terrible. I'm terrible at it. However, as an actual race, I think it's actually pretty decent. You know, good overtaking opportunities. It's a challenge.
That's what I like. I like races where, you know, that first corner, for example.
Yeah.
Like to get
So
that right
unique.
in qualifying
Yeah.
is tough.
Yeah. The whole first sector, to be honest with you, and that middle sector, that weird middle sector where you got that like double left, the right,
Yeah.
where Maldonado binned it because he wasn't paying attention like one time.
That's about right.
Yeah, to be fair, that could be anywhere on the track. But yeah, it's a shame really because obviously, basically, for those that don't know, China are going for a zero COVID policy between now and the end of time. So-
Things are pretty mad over there.
yeah, it's all kind of crazy. And because of that, F1 can't travel there and can't obviously have a race. Fans wouldn't be able to travel to China for the Grand Prix. So it's been cancelled again.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting to a point now. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the finances of the Shanghai track, but I feel like you're going to get to a point where it's like, can they actually continue? Because what's their contracts up until?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
I feel like they're gonna get to a point where they keep like maybe preparing themselves to host it like, every year, and then it just doesn't happen. And
I think-
because they're not earning the money from obviously tickets going.
Because I think they announced an extension,
Yeah.
anticipating that it would be fine by now.
Oh, wasn't it? Yeah, I think they announced it like last year. Like, I remember at the same time it got cancelled or something. They announced that it was.
They were like, oh, but we're back next year.
But it's fine. Like we're gonna extend it,
not
but
fine.
because maintaining a track's quite expensive. If there's no racing happening there,
Yeah.
then
But that's like, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens because, politically it's very unstable. Like there's a lot of, a lot of people on the streets, like protesting.
Yeah.
People like locked in their houses, basically. Like it doesn't look like we're anywhere near. And like there seems to be this zero COVID seems to be something that's going to get in the way, like long term. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
But there's talk of Portimao, Portugal.
I was going to
replace
ask
it.
this. What track would you like to replace? Realistic and also just fantasy like track that you would like.
Portimao's okay. It's not great.
I think it's a realistic one because we've had F1 there recently.
Yeah.
Like, if being totally
infrastructure's
honest,
there.
I think it's kind of the one out of those tracks that isn't returning. Obviously, Imola's just kind of there now. That's like default, isn't it? I think also, obviously, Turkey.
Yeah.
Bit of Turkey. Love that track.
Yeah. Well, because
Christmas time. We all love Turkey at Christmas time.
Because China, that's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's all into place. It's true. Gets announced on Christmas Day.
It was in between Azerbaijan and I think another European race. I'm just trying to think like
makes sense. It's around that area as well. Like I think that would be a track that I would personally love to see replace it. But as a fantasy one that has absolutely no realism in happening whatsoever, because it's not.
I mean, look, I'm always going to say Sepang. Like Sepang's
Kuala Lumpur. That's what I was going for as well. Boy, bring back Malaysia.
that would be sick. And it's kind of, I think, I'm not sure what condition, like that track still gets used a lot for racing.
MotoGP still goes there.
Yeah.
Tests and everything.
But a lot of this is all money, isn't it? It's all,
Well, the thing with Malaysia is that I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the Malaysian public just don't actually have that much interest in Formula One.
Really?
They enjoy MotoGP more, which is why then Malaysia were kind of like, well, it costs a lot of money to host F1 here, and not many people actually like kind of are as interested. But they just like motorcycle racing there more, so they've carried on with MotoGP. They've kind of gone more into that. They've kind of really taken a second step into that, and gone, we'll do all the testing here and everything, and then
I'd like to see us go back to India.
Yeah,
and I think because
or South Korea,
we last time. Yeah, I think the South Korea tracks.
Done,
derelict.
Yeah.
But I think the Bud International Circuit is in pretty good nick. I think, and I know that part of why that kind of got pulled back. I don't think there was the fan. There was enough of a fan base at the time. I think maybe that's part of it. I definitely think there is now.
Yeah,
I look at my analytics and like, there's a lot of Indian people who like watch my stuff anyway. In terms of my own stuff, I think that's grown significantly. But also there was a lot of as far as I understand, there was it was a bit corrupt. There was backhand dealings going on.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly. It wasn't full legit. So I don't know if that gets in the way potentially of that returning. But yeah, I think Sepang is the one for me anyway.
Yeah. Same. But I think it was a good track in terms of like actual racing, just even on normal days. But I think that constant air of like, there could be a tornado at like any given time was just sick.
That's it.
Like there's just a random monsoon.
What you putting on for a tornado?
Yeah, exactly. Mate, exactly.
Probably gonna have to come up with a new compound. That's just massive
typhoon tire. Could you imagine?
Typhoon.
That's great as well. The alliteration.
I love that. As well. Like I feel for Joe as well.
Yeah. True. Actually, yeah, of course.
Because he still hasn't got his home Grand Prix.
Yeah, man.
And it's I don't know if that's ever going to come.
I think it's just missing a trick there as well. With it, like when you look at it from the Chinese perspective of just kind of like you've actually got a driver in F1 for the first time ever.
Yeah,
that interest will be there because there's actually someone to support. Now the interest was there anyway, but like you've got a driver making history, being the first Chinese driver in the sport in Guan Yu Zhou. But there's no Grand Prix for him. Like you're just kind of refusing to.
But I think
allow it to happen.
That says everything you need to know about how seriously like the powers that be are clamping down.
Yeah, like overall, just on COVID there anyway.
Because also like F1's a massive like event for any nation. That goes to it like commercially. It's huge. So for them to like cancel it again.
Yeah, I think the thing that's going on over there is just like it's bigger than Formula One. It's just like just zero. Policy on anything, and the fact that it's F1 is just collateral, and they're just
100%. It's much bigger than that. Which is, look, I hope to see it back. I think the Chinese fan base always has a good reception there.
Yeah.
As much as it's easy to get conflated, and obviously, we talk about a lot of these countries. Be that when we used to go to Russia or Saudi Arabia and talk about the legitimacy of F1 being there, and I get a lot of that. But also, they're genuine fans who love the sport and. Regardless of the political and that side of their nation,
especially with like
people want to see racing,
Yeah, man, exactly. Especially with some of the more controversial countries we've had recently, like aside from China, I think like you got to separate the people from the powers. The public from the regime and all that sort of jazz. There's fans that just want to go and watch Formula One.
Exactly,
and that's the case in China. Like it's just people that just want to go and watch.
The
Formula One, let them watch it.
Exactly, let the people watch now. The fans are what keeps it all going. At the end of the day, none of us we're not in a job. These like F1, like the sport doesn't exist without the fans. So
exactly,
that's important. Exactly. Final, we'll wrap up with got a little segment we thought we'd trial out for the first time today. Little head-to-head segment where we take two drivers and we have to kind of give our best sales pitch on why we think one is maybe better or more deserving.
Yeah, and in equal machinery, what would happen? Who would come out on top? It's usually going to be people that are in the news, like people that are relevant right now. And I think two drivers that could end up going head to head for a seat potentially in future. Daniel Ricciardo, who's obviously just gone to Red Bull as a sort of reserve driver. He's going to be doing a lot of sim work. Yeah, he's going to try and get himself back into the sport.
Keeping his feet wet.
Yeah, keeping his foot in the door, making sure everyone knows that he's still about. And hopefully doing a key role for Red Bull there. And obviously Sergio Perez, who's doing who's in the second seat at the moment at Red Bull. Had a bit of mixed bag of a season, I guess. Obviously ended up, finishing. Did he finish second in the championship in the end, Sergio?
Third. Charles pipped him.
Man, that Abu Dhabi Grand Prix was so dead that I just forgot.
Checo was catching at the end, but they did the two stop, and Ferrari actually made the strategy work for once.
Yeah, for once. Yeah, shout out to Ferrari for that. Actually, I think I might have fallen asleep during that one.
Yeah, it wasn't a barnstormer, was it? No, because I think that there are legitimate, and I know that, and I've seen Checo fans, and I get it, being like, oh look, he's doing the job they want him to do. I get that, but at the same time, when you're qualifying like second half of the season, he was average half a second off of Max.
Yeah.
If Ferrari and Mercedes are closer next year, Perez is much further back than those teammate pairings are. Those other teammate pairings are much closer. So as much as you can talk about, for example, in the Schumacher years when Barrichello was miles off, but he did the job, that's fine. But I think the sport is more competitive now than it used to be. It's easy to look at the past and be like all glory days. But actually, this sport used to be way more spread out.
So we've got a new segment here where we've been assigned a driver, right? Each of us randomly assigned by production who we think would come out on top in equal machinery. Okay, Tommo, you've been assigned someone. I have also been assigned a driver, and we've got to convince.
Fight the battle.
We've got to fight the battle. We've got to convince the other that we think our driver would come out on top.
Even if we don't believe it.
Even if we don't believe it, and at the end, we will disclose whether we believe in our driver or whether we were all lying.
We've got to be politicians for this one, mate.
Yeah, man, we've got to be Matt Hancock out here. It's crazy.
I'm assigning you Checo.
Right, okay.
So I'm
going to have to argue for Sergio
I'm
Perez
Team Ricciardo.
to keep his Red Bull seat, and your Team Ricciardo.
Team Checo.
Okay, all right. Well, Checo, I mean, if we're looking at the start of the season, I think Checo was sensational. I think there was definitely... I think when you look at the Red Bull teammates that Verstappen's had over the last few years, if we look at Gasly, who really, really struggled at times, and Albon, I'm very sorry. Albon, who
You're not
also
sorry.
had...
You're not sorry. It's fine.
I'm not sorry. Albon, who we've had some very good performances, like Brazil, for example. Austria was doing really, really well, and then obviously got taken out by Perez both times.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, but it was a great drive. It was a great drive both times. So I'm taking all of it. And yeah. But Sergio started the season off sensation, like really, really well.
He did.
Obviously with that win as well. At, where did he win?
Monaco, where he crashed on purpose, allegedly, maybe
allegedly,
not.
potentially, don't know. But again, that plays in. Like, he's an ultimate team player. He will do whatever it takes, whatever is required for Red Bull. For maybe himself, but also for Red Bull too.
I was going to say that kind of... Okay, carry on.
I just love Sergio, man. The thing is, as well, I think he's one of those drivers that can really extract the best out of any sort of car. I know, obviously, he was great in midfield cars as well, but tyre whisperer, I think he's an ultimate rear gunner. His defensive displays have been very good. Abu Dhabi 2021, for example. Turkey 2020/2021. Can't remember which year it was.
I can't either.
The
COVID years are just
the Mexican Minister of Defense, mate. There's a reason why he's got that title. And Daniel, not being funny, struggled this season. That's all I'm saying. Struggled the last 2 seasons. He's not a man in form.
Nah. Listen. All right. Okay. So you seriously think that in equal machinery, Checo will beat Daniel Ricciardo? How I cannot even. What are you talking? No.
Yeah. No, I do.
I'm sorry. Right.
I actually do believe that legit.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm doing my best.
It's like, yeah. And I'm gonna be like, he's saying really a lot. Maybe
really,
I'm wrong.
really. No, listen, right. So Daniel Ricciardo, if you take away that McLaren stint, right, where clearly didn't work with the car, and he's top tier, top billing, right, no doubt. No question, right? His career up until that point was pretty much a little wobble with Daniel Kvyat in the Red Bull.
Yeah.
But come on,
Faultless,
beat Sebastian Vettel, 3 wins in his first season in Red Bull,
yeah,
alongside 4-time championship winner. That's mad levels. That's equivalent to, George Russell having jumped in and won 3 races. He won 1 race relatively, but also Daniel outperformed. And I know that's in the past. But you come through full circle. I think with the fresh perspective that Daniel's going to have, taking this bit of time off, a little bit of step back, step back from, because clearly whatever happened at McLaren didn't work. Yeah, he still won a race. he still won a race.
He did.
And he didn't need to
crazy
crash on purpose to do it
circumstances.
either.
Oh, okay, now that's a dig.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, he did win the race. He was there. That did happen. That's not alleged. You know what it is? I think the thing for me, obviously, Daniel Ricciardo has a great track record in the past, but we can't ignore the last 2 years. They have been pretty shocking. And obviously, yeah, I know it's because you could argue it's been because of the car. That is definitely true. I definitely agree with the fact that you can't just go from how good he was at Renault to just like what happened at McLaren just overnight. Like he didn't just arrive after pre-season in 2021 and go, oh yeah, well I'm
just lose all wheel knowledge.
Yeah,
like,
do you know what I'm saying? Like, that obviously didn't happen, but like, will that affect his confidence levels? You know, he's especially this season has been shocking at times.
It has, granted.
And a year out as well. Like, yes, a year out may refocus him and hopefully
on the beach, bit of surfing.
just help him sort of refocus literally. But at the same time, it's a year out of the sport, and we've seen how years out of Formula One can influence you and how they can affect that little edge of sharpness, that 1/10 of a second that you may have gained had you just stayed in the sport even at a lower team. So how do you think that's going to affect it?
Look, the thing is, right? I'm taking more digs at Checo now.
Okay, that's fair
right?
enough.
Because attack is the best form of defense. I'm going full Christian Horner, right? Look, so Checo has done a better job in that Red Bull relative to Albon and Gasly. I agree, but not that much. Let's be real, right? The metric you have to look at first and foremost is relative gap to your teammate.
Yeah.
Yes, start of this season, new cars for everyone. Everyone's jumping in. It's a bit more understeery. There's a bit less kind of adaptation, right? This is a good year to jump in. And yeah, Checo was pretty close. He was still like 3.5 tenths off of Max in the first half of the season, average in qualifying.
Yeah.
Right? By the end, but second half of the season, almost half a second, which is pretty much as far off as Albon was. Now, Alex Albon is okay, right? I love him. I don't think he's the next best thing since sliced bread. I don't think he's George Russell, Lando Norris. I've not seen enough to believe that yet. But what I'm saying is that Daniel's highs, the highs that Daniel has shown throughout his career, going toe-to-toe with Max and beating Max in their first season together, coming up short but having tons of DNFs as well in like his final season at Red Bull.
Yeah.
Daniel has shown he can hang with Max.
Yeah.
Perez, I think you look at those in individual instances where he's looked close. So Baku last year, he was close, still behind, but close. Monaco, again, like with how qualifying turned out with Ferrari bottling it, Checo was, if science doesn't get held up by Latifi, science is probably winning that race. Like there's a lot of context to that. Daniel could match Max on pace. And I don't think really, apart from in Saudi Arabia, we've ever seen that from Checo.
I hear that. I do hear that. No, I do hear it. But a lot of things have changed since Daniel Ricciardo was matching Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen has changed since Daniel Ricciardo was matching Max Verstappen. Like this was a time, this was like 2017 to 2018, right? Yeah. How old was Max even then? He was still like a teenager in 2017, right? He was like 19.
Little baby.
Yeah, he's a little baby. A little baby. Yeah, Jack Grealish song, have you seen that?
No.
Oh, okay, I'll show you after. But it's really bad. Anyway, sorry.
Digress.
I digress. A few things have changed, obviously, since then. Max has obviously flourished into probably the best driver, definitely the best driver on the grid. Yeah. Since then, he was still very accident prone at that point. Very quick, definitely raw speed, 1000%. But I think that iron will determination has definitely grown even more since then. I think if you put Max, this is very if, buts, and maybes, but if the current Max of now was against Daniel Ricciardo in 2017, Daniel Ricciardo does not win that battle. And the current Daniel Ricciardo of now definitely does not win that battle against Max Verstappen either. So I know when you were talking about the relative of, Sergio is like 3 tenths off, 3.5 tenths off Max. Yeah, fine. But it's Max Verstappen. Daniel Ricciardo, for me, is not matching Max in a Red Bull now. He's going to be off the pace as well. So it's a matter of how far off the pace is someone going to be.
That's always going to be.
Because Max is the question because it's Max.
Yeah, because Max is that good. And that's the thing, like Max has, he violated Gasly. Yeah, violated Albon, and now he's been like again, you look at that relative delta.
He has slapped Sergio, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But
Also, they've been in their car's been stronger.
Yep, yeah,
so
yeah.
that Sergio's been able to capitalise on the opportunities when they're presented themselves.
Yeah.
But also, he finished 149, 8 points behind Max.
Yeah, that is outrageous.
And won 2 races all year.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Monaco is a big slice of fortune in that as well. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Max wins 15.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like Max has improved. Yes, of course. I think Max's main improvements have not necessarily been his pace. It's been his consistency. It's been his decision making.
Yeah, same.
So I just feel like for Daniel to, I think Prime Ricciardo, for me, Prime Ricciardo is definitely quicker than Prime Perez for me. If it's today, it's a difficult one. But
okay, yeah, I hear that. But I'm saying it's today, right here, right now.
Right now.
Yeah. This afternoon.
Yeah.
It's quarter past one. They're in the cars by 1:30. Ready to go out on the track for qualifying.
In those Red Bull liveried minis, yeah?
Yeah, in the minis. In the minis. Oh, that's a different question as well, actually.
Who's winning that then? In the minis?
Oh, in the minis.
Christian Horner.
Yeah, Christian Horner's winning it in the minis.
He's going quicker than anyone.
He's going quicker than
He used to be a
anyone.
racing driver, you know?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So I've seen him in the overalls. Toto Wolff as well. He used to be a Red Bull driver, actually, which is
very odd.
Yeah, it's weird how that sort of turns out. I think in the here and now, this very day, today at 1:15 p.m. on a Monday
neutral
afternoon,
car.
in a neutral car, that's the crucial thing, in the same car, the same machinery, I think Sergio Perez edges it. I think it's closer than people might think based off the form of the last year. Because again, I think a lot of the reason why Daniel Ricciardo has struggled recently has been not getting along with that McLaren car.
Yeah.
But I especially think after a year out of the sport and the lack of confidence that he may well have after the last 2 years, this isn't the Daniel Ricciardo of 2017, 18 and 19. This is the Daniel Ricciardo of 2022. And I think Sergio Perez would edge him.
I think it would depend if you got Danny on a good day where he was like I think right now, like Sergio kind of knows where he's at, I think he's more consistent.
Yeah.
I think, Daniel would have a really good weekend, really bad weekends, really good weekends, a couple of bad weekends. Like, I think there's not that same, like you say, confidence in him. If he was up for it and confident in game, I think he'd go quicker. If he wasn't, then I think, because Sergio's it's like qualifying pace versus race pace as well. Qualifying pace, I would say Ricciardo. Race pace, I'd say Perez.
Yeah.
But
Tire
out and out
jazz.
speed.
Ooh,
I'm still backing him.
It's a difficult one, I'm not going to lie. Well,
That's why
we need to ask the public. We need to ask, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Who would win in equal machinery? Sergio Perez or Daniel Ricciardo?
Actually, let's quickly, 2024, who's in that second Red Bull seat alongside Max Verstappen? We're gonna hold ourselves to this.
That is tough.
Because
I'm going to be honest, right? And this is going to be like so on the fence. Like, it sounds like I'm being on the fence. I'm going to make a decision after. But it does depend. If Red Bull, for instance, lose the Constructors' Championship because Sergio Perez was not competitive enough, then I think you might actually see Daniel Ricciardo get a chance.
Because Red Bull are going to have enough. They're going to, do a bit of sim work with Daniel. They're going to, they're going to have some knowledge of which Daniel they're getting.
Yeah.
If they know for a fact they're getting the Red Bull or Renault Ricciardo, if they know for a fact they're getting that Daniel, and Sergio doesn't get closer to Max by the end of next year, I think they replace him. So that's what it kind of comes down to.
Yeah,
that's the way, because I think that the constructors' battle is going to be closer.
I think it will. I think they didn't get lucky this year necessarily, but I think Sergio cannot be 150 points behind Max Verstappen again next season.
No.
And if Ferrari and Mercedes are competitive to a point where, as you said, Leclerc and Sainz pretty equal. Sainz struggled at the start, but I think towards the end of the season, Sainz really brought it back.
Both Ferrari drivers had more bad luck and had more like L's. Like Sainz got took out by Russell.
And
he took out
all that
Ricciardo.
sort of jazz. Yeah, Austria blew up.
Yeah.
Like Mercedes, if they're going to become competitive again, like for an entire season, George and Lewis are well matched. If literally just on the equal machinery, but if Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes were relatively on pace, you would argue that the biggest gap is definitely between Max and Sergio.
Definitely is.
You can't even argue. Factually it is. So he would be someone that would be a limiting factor there. He'd be someone that, like, if the two Ferraris
what I mean.
on the pace, whatever.
But look, listen, I love Checo. I really hope but he needs to find a way, and Red Bull need to find a way. That's the thing, because like, I think it's in Red Bull's best interest that they keep Checo and they keep him happy and they get a driver that's, because he's clearly very capable. But there's obviously numerous reasons why he isn't as close to Max as Carlos is to Charles, and I'm sure a degree of that is talent. I think Max is a more talented driver, but there's clearly more to it. And I hope that Red Bull and Sergio can understand
what it is,
why that side of the garage hasn't been anywhere near Max for so long now.
Yeah. Okay, right. So we've gone through basically everything that we can there in terms of arguing what we've been assigned here. But obviously, I was assigned Sergio Perez. Do you, Tommo, think that I actually believe in Checo?
I do. I do think you actually believe that.
I actually can confirm that I do. I do genuinely think Checo would beat Daniel Ricciardo. Not going to lie. I do. I just off the balance
Equal
of the last
machinery
couple of
right
years.
now.
Equal
Today.
machinery today at 1:30 p.m. I think so. What about you? You're obviously assigned Daniel Ricciardo.
I was assigned Daniel Ricciardo. Do you think I believe it?
I actually think you believe it, yeah. I think you believe it. I think you believe Daniel Ricciardo would beat Sergio Perez.
I don't.
Really? You think Checo would win?
I think today Checo wins.
Yeah. Mad.
I think
You were very convincing. I'm not going to lie.
today.
I genuinely thought I thought that you were on that. I thought you were.
I think Daniel has demonstrated higher highs in his career, but I think today, Daniel's taken absolute
He took a beating off Lando. That's the problem.
That lack of confidence and
Yeah. I think you are right in the sense that if he came back as the Renault Ricciardo, if he managed to find that from the beaches of Seychelles or wherever he goes on holiday this winter, I think if he finds that again and refocuses, I think you're on to something. Like, I think he would do a good job there, because he's driven against Max in the past.
He's proven he can fight with the top. He can fight at the top. He's proven he can. He's done that. But again, Daniel, if he's going to return to F1, he needs to be able to prove to whichever suitor chooses to take him that they're getting the box office Red Bull Renault Ricciardo, not the McLaren Ricciardo. He needs to understand why it went wrong. How can he make sure that doesn't happen again? Because the idea of it's a gamble. It is ultimately now is a gamble, because if someone signs, I don't know, a Lando Norris, right? Lando's consistently been so it feels like less of a gamble. You never know.
He's been at a level the entire time. You're not.
Exactly. And he's consistently moved up and he's kind of got better after every year. I'd argue in a lot of ways, yes, he hasn't got the plaudits, but I think Lando, you could argue this has been his strongest season in F1 to date. And it's I just think with Daniel, where there is that degree of uncertainty, where teams know that if in certain circumstances he won't be able to extract it, like I would say a Fernando Alonso, who can drive anything quick. For example, can. I feel Fernando's a prime example. He's been in so many different cars, and he's always been quicker than his teammate or as quick.
Gotten the best out of it, slapped up his team.
But no, I think today, Checo.
Woof. Interesting.
Deceptive.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are deceptive. I cannot trust you ever again. So we both think Checo then. Deep down.
We do.
Deep down. Let us know down in the comment section what you think. In equal machinery, who would win? Daniel Ricciardo or Checo Perez? And who will be in that Red Bull seat in 2024?
Yeah, it's fun, man. Good talking. Thank you all for joining us again. Like the YouTube side, if you're on the YouTube side, give it a like.
Subscribe as well to the Last Lap Show channel on YouTube if you're watching over there. If you're on Spotify, Tidal, if you're listening to us on SoundCloud right now, then report it, because we're not on SoundCloud. I don't think so. That's clear. That's just pirated.
Tin and string.
If you're listening to BT payphone right now, then give us a 5-star rating. Just type 5 and then star in the cool bit, and you're all good.
Work.
It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be blessed. A pleasure, man. This has been great. There's been a lot of news this week. I'm shocked at how much there's been to talk about.
It's fun. It's fun having guests on, but it's fun just shooting the shit with you.
Us just waffling. Indeed.
Could do this all day.
Indeed. So could I, mate. So could I. We'll be back again next Tuesday for yet more waffle, yet more F1 goodness. And I think that's about it. Until then, adios, ladies and gentlemen.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Crimbo.